Right side, the 10 to the 5, touchdown! Six, go into the hoop, puts it up, puts it in! A fantastic play.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another installment of the Magnolia Fields podcast, the Maroon and White edition. And what an edition this is going to be, Cody.
That's a word.
I think that God has to hate Mississippi State football and its fans. I think he has to. Because there's no reason that any group of people should be put through the kind of pain, anguish, and agony that Mississippi State fans have been put through over the course of the last 5 years.
Just the last 5?
Really, the program's entire existence, but
checking, okay.
Yeah, but yeah. This past weekend, for those
and
of
I
you
wouldn't even say, hold up, I wouldn't even say just football. I would say athletics, period.
Yeah, being a Mississippi State fan is not for the faint of heart. It's an emotional roller coaster. We hosted a Mississippi State show 2-3 times a week back when we were in undergrad, and that was kind of the theme. Every week was the roller coaster ride continues.
Tanner, we did that for 3 years, I believe.
We did.
This is what I imagine schools do this from time to time, is win every single athletic event in a week during
that
a
ever
particular
happen?
season. I don't think it did.
I think it happened like a couple times.
I don't think it happened once. I think there was a week where they had like 6 of them because like volleyball, soccer, and football all played and there were multiple matches, but one of them always lost.
Yeah, that tracks.
And we were that close.
Well, now they're this close.
Well, that is true.
And for those of you listening to the audio version, this is far. For those that are unaware.
Tanner's wingspan, to be exact.
Yeah. For those that are unaware, Mississippi State hosted a MAC team this past weekend. By the MAC, I mean the Mid-American Conference. Historically, not great at football. Just barely in the FBS conversation. That team's Toledo. And Toledo won 11 games last year. They almost won the MAC. They have a head coach who's been there 9 years in the head coaching position.
I think he's been there like 16 or something overall.
He's been there like 16 as a coordinator and head coach overall. And they came in to an SEC school, and I'm putting that in air quotes, SEC school, because Mississippi State may be in the Sun Belt in 5 years. And they dismantled Mississippi State. They were better at every single position. Every one of them. All of the above.
Yeah, it's something as an SEC school that really shouldn't be happening.
No.
You should be able to go in. If it's close, that's one thing. And really, you should probably still win if it's close. But the fact of the matter was, it was not close.
It wasn't even remotely close. That's the thing. Is like, and this is what I think makes this the most aggravating loss in Mississippi State football history, going to be honest. And that's a lot of history, a lot of not great history. 2004, Mississippi State drops a matchup to Maine. Would you like to know the score of that game?
Tell me.
9-7.
So competitive.
Competitive football game. And look, even if you look at the stats, Mississippi State in that game, 374 total yards of offense, 20 first downs. They win the time of possession, but they have 3 turnovers. And you look at that and you're like, okay, if they don't have the 3 turnovers, Mississippi State probably wins that game. No matter how you slice it, Mississippi State was getting dog-walked in this game against Toledo. Just dog-walked.
Yeah, there's no other way to put it. It was bad from start to finish, everywhere in between. And usually you can say that there was some light. I really just don't think we can say that.
And here's the thing. people are going to blame Jeff Levy for this, and part of the blame is on the head coach. Always, 100% of the time, part of the blame is on the head coach.
Which I will say, credit to him. He is taking it.
Yeah.
I mean, he is admitting this is what we've done. This is what we need to do.
But I think this is the direct result, Cody, of an emotional decision when, and God rest his soul, Mike Leach left us for a better place. There was an emotional decision made in hiring Zach Arnett. And I think that now you're starting to see the true fall off from that decision. And it could not come at a more inopportune time. You're welcoming 2 powerhouses to the conference. More money is being thrown around the conference than ever before. NIL is still, for the large part, unregulated. And it's going to continue to be unregulated. I do think regulation is coming for NIL. I do, at the federal level. I don't think it's any time within the next 4 years or 5 years or even that. In that time, people cannot understand, and I don't think people do understand how bad it can get for Mississippi State football.
Well, I don't even think, I mean, NIL is going to make it tough, but there's also the possibility that very soon athletes can start being considered university employees and make salaries.
Yeah.
Which does not help either.
That does not help either. No. I mean, the final score of this game was 41-17. 41-17. And I just want to talk about just how bad Mississippi State has been starting games thus far this season. Sure, you go out against Eastern Kentucky and you score a lot of points. Great. It is a legit FCS school. Against Arizona State, 3 points in the first half. Against Toledo, 3 points in the first half. How are you coming out of the gate this bad? This not even remotely amped up to play a college football game? How?
Yeah.
I mean, this team was just getting absolutely bullied and pushed around by Toledo. Now, Toledo, a solid MAC team, a great MAC team, may win the conference this year. 7 of 11 starters on defense, 60 are seniors. This is an old squad. No SEC team should be pushed around for 4 quarters by a team from the MAC.
No, and I understand getting pushed around a couple of plays, but here's the thing. When you think SEC, you think bigger, badder, better. Blake Shapen should have a lot more time in the pocket than he did. Our backs should have a lot bigger holes from the O-line.
The offensive line is where this thing is made or broken.
The defense should be able to tackle better. They should be able to cover better. They're big. They're supposed to be bigger, badder, and better, and it just isn't the case.
Truthfully, I think there's one SEC starter. There's one player on this Mississippi State defense that could go and start somewhere else in the SEC, and it's Isaac Smith.
That's one. It should be 11.
11. I mean, it's just tough. And I don't think the road gets any better. Florida is bad, and we'll get into that later in the show. But I just don't know how it gets any better. This may be the worst season in a long time for Mississippi State football.
I hate to say it. I think they're rated the second hardest schedule in the nation behind Florida. I'm not sure if you gave them the 30th worst instead of the second, that you're still not looking like
this was supposed to be the easy part of the schedule.
Yeah, you're still looking at a rough year. So
this
I don't
is supposed to be the easiest part of the schedule. The one part that Mississippi State should have collected some wins, and they've dropped 2 of them. Not looking good.
Not looking hot.
Not looking good.
Got to figure it out.
Let's talk some soccer right after these messages here on the Magnolia Fields podcast.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, you know who to call. Call me. Remember, one call, that's all.
Welcome to the Richard Schwartz and Associates Magnolia Field Studios. One call, that's all.
Back here from the Richard Schwartz and Associates Studios and the Magnolia Fields podcast. Cody, we've talked about how hard life is as a Mississippi State fan. Let's talk about how good life is for Mississippi State soccer fans. I mean, this is a good team. They're top 25 in the country, and they got some big matchups on the horizon.
Could get a little rough, but we'll find out. We'll dive into it. They're 6-1. Their one loss is to a Wake Forest team that they lost 2-1 on the road in the last 5-ish minutes in Winston-Salem. This is what I have to say about that loss, because we really haven't been able to talk to it since it's been a while since we've done this. But when they traveled there, I think most people were expecting a win. Wake Forest was not a great team last year. They were building on what they had, but this is also the third year of their new head coach. So they got that win, which is a big win because I think State was as high as number 11 in some of the national polls, which is a huge win for Wake Forest. But come to find out, Wake Forest is really, really good this year. They are a solid team that will most likely, I would say most definitely will be a tournament team, has a chance at hosting. So you look at that, and losses aren't good, but it's a good loss.
I mean, it's a quality loss.
It's a quality loss, yeah. And so that's one thing that sticks out to me is they kind of got, it was a lucky goal, if we're going to be real, that game winner.
Yeah, and like you said, it's right there in the last 5 minutes of play. One of those kind of freak things.
It was off of a corner. It just a couple of deflections, and it found its way into the bottom corner of the net. Sometimes there is nothing you can do about that, and that just happened to be the case. But that's the one loss kind of out of their systems. They got a big win against Abilene Christian last week.
Who's a solid team.
They were undefeated in an odd sense that they had 2 wins and 4 ties.
4 ties, yeah.
But
they're not bad. They're not great. A win to add to the resume.
Yeah. So, but we saw something that we don't usually see out of this team. A lot of offense, and it wasn't all jumbled up like 5 goals in 15 minutes. It was 5 goals like 20 minutes in and on. So it was all spread out a little bit, which is a really good sign, especially when you head into 2 monsters, 2 top 25 teams.
Yeah, 2 top 25 squads in Oklahoma and Texas. And some interesting tidbits about Oklahoma and Texas. I believe Mississippi State, and you'll have to explain the math of this situation, is both of their first SEC matchups.
All right, so the way it goes, conference play starts Thursday. So tomorrow, Mississippi State travels to Oklahoma. So it's the season opener for Mississippi State and Oklahoma in SEC play, which also marks Oklahoma's first SEC game ever. Now, on Sunday, when Mississippi State hosts Texas, I'm looking it up because just to be 100% sure, but last time we looked at it, Texas has a bye on Thursday, which means their first game is Sunday against Mississippi State.
First SEC game.
That is not the case. We misread. They do play Alabama, so it's the first road game.
Yeah.
They have the first road game. Texas will host Alabama tomorrow. They will have their first road game against Mississippi State. So we had it off just a hair. But nonetheless, you open the schedule with the 2 newcomers.
Yeah. I mean, 2 good newcomers at that. Tell us a little bit about this Texas team, because I think that's the real offensive highlight. And then, well,
how about
They're Oklahoma?
Good. Texas is good.
Oh, yeah.
Let me put it at that. They're 7-0-1. Their one tie came to Iowa, who is also an incredibly good team. There are this Texas team is a fun team to watch because they score a lot, and a lot of the reason behind that are two players in Lexi Misimo and Trinity Byers, who this season have 12 goals combined. Last year, which is just a little crazier if we're going to be completely honest, the two of them combined for like 50 goals.
Jesus. So they're good, is what you're telling me.
They're good. They're very good.
Like scary good.
They played a total of 24 games, and the two of them combined average about 2 goals a game.
So that's
Scary.
not good for Mississippi State.
However, Mississippi State does have, debatably, one of the best goalkeepers in the nation.
In Matty Anderson.
Correct. So I think personally it'll be a fun matchup because of that. Sometimes you don't want to look too hard into that just because you put the spotlight on these two players too much and it gives other opportunities for others, which I think is going to be the case. I mean, I think you're going to see those big names make some plays, but I really think it's going to be about the role players in this game.
Who's got the better stable? I think I think who's going to offer the most support.
And I also think that if you're Mississippi State, Allie Perry is kind of starting to get back on her stride.
That's a big win.
You've got Aitana Martinez Montoya, who just does what she does, scores a lot of goals because she's good. And then you've got Alana Izquierdo, who we got to talk to at the beginning of the season.
Also quite good.
Who doesn't show up a lot on the stat sheet, and kind of the same with Macy Hodge too. But they are players that really just they're not going to have big numbers, but they make the passes to the assist or the pass before the pass to the assist. Just really that opens up the game. So everyone just feels like they're kind of at the right time getting into that correct stride. But what I will say is this team almost went 19 days, without playing a game.
Yeah, and that's
because
the
of
thing
weather
is they
and
are
everything.
rested. Now, are they too rested?
We were wondering that last week. I don't think they are.
That's fair.
I think they look great.
And with that amount of time to prepare for these two big matchups, because I don't, not to say that they're guilty of looking too far ahead, but when you've got a team like Abilene Christian on the schedule who you're pretty confident about beating, and yeah, you don't want to overlook them, but when you've got two monsters looming on the other side of that match, you're given a lot of time to prepare, do you think that's a benefit, or do you think that you can over-prepare in this situation?
I mean, I definitely think you can over-prepare, but I mean, the good thing I think is that Oklahoma and Texas are kind of two different teams. They play two different styles at least. Oklahoma is very, very possession-oriented. Texas is a little more direct.
Yeah, a little bit more. We want to score, and we want to score now.
Now, Oklahoma has scored 27 goals this year. They are 7-0-1.
Yeah, good team.
They're both very good
And if
teams,
you're Mississippi State, nabbing one of these, do you think that helps your ranking?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt about it.
Losing two, do you think it hurts a lot?
I mean, it's going to hurt, but I
don't think anybody's going to look at it and be like,
Soccer
Mississippi State
uses-
is not a postseason team because they lost to Texas and Oklahoma.
the rankings really don't matter either. The NCAA still uses RPI for seedings for soccer. So, I mean, it's obviously going to hurt the RPI, but it's not going to kill it because you're looking at two teams that I don't know off the top of my head, but I imagine they're probably both top 20 in the
I was going to
RPI.
say probably top 20, top 15.
Yeah, so I mean, yes, it'll hurt.
But
But it's not going to destroy it. Yeah, I mean, all it takes is you getting winning games you're supposed to win and taking competitive games.
Yeah,
I mean, shouldn't be too terribly hard.
that's fair. That's fair.
It's a talented state team. It really is.
It is. Fun to watch. Fun to watch. About the only thing fun to watch until basketball season on Mississippi State's campus right now. So we're going to take another short break and get into the new outlook on Mississippi State football. Talk about this game against Florida and some other happenings around the SEC here in just a moment after these messages. Stay with us from the Richard Schwartz and Associates Studios in the Magnolia Fields podcast.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, you know who to call. Call me. Remember, one call, that's all.
Welcome back to the Magnolia Field Studios, brought to you by Richard Schwartz and Associates. One call, that's all.
Back here again from the Richard Schwartz and Associates Studios. Cody, the first kind of third of the show, we expressed our woes with this past Saturday's game. The last third of the show, let's express our forthcoming woes for this Saturday's game. Mississippi State hosts Florida this weekend, 11 a.m. kickoff, and this is a god-awful Florida team. They're bad. Billy Napier's an incompetent head coach.
It's sad because they're not the worst SEC team.
And they're still not the worst. They're still not the worst. If you would have told me before this season started that when Florida was coming into Starkville, Billy Napier was arguably going to already be fired, and I would have said, I told you so, one. Two, heck yeah, maybe Mississippi State can get an SEC win. Not going to be the case.
Nope, not going to be the case.
If Billy Napier lets DJ Lagway sniff the field on Saturday, it's over. It's ball game.
Unfortunately, even if that doesn't happen, I still think it's over.
Graham Mertz could beat this Mississippi State team, and that's saying something because Graham Mertz is a god-awful quarterback. I do not understand why the University of Florida lets the man wear 15.
I don't know why the university lets him start.
I don't either. I don't even think the board of trustees wants him to start.
Stick to DJ Lagway. Be done with it.
He's only one of the greatest quarterback prospects to ever come, on paper, that is, to ever commit to Florida. He's a grown man. I mean, have you seen this guy?
He's got a cannon.
He's got a cannon attached to his right shoulder. And then on top of that, he looks like a fullback playing quarterback.
He's quick.
He's quick.
He's Florida, start the dude.
Just start the man.
Because
after Saturday.
Even if you don't start him, it's not going to matter.
It's not going to matter. It's not. It's not. Because they have a competent offensive line.
I think it would be better for them to start him Saturday so we can at least say State lost to a competent quarterback.
That's true. That's true. Maybe the loss looks better if it's the DJ Lagway game.
I mean, yeah, I think either way, you want DJ Lagway starting.
I agree.
If you're a Florida fan or a State fan.
Because then, no matter what, Mississippi State's going to lose this game.
Yeah,
then, if you're a fan in attendance, at least you can say, when DJ Lagway goes to the NFL, hey, I watched him dismantle a Mississippi State defense in his, second ever career start.
Yeah, second career start, third game ever. Second game, actually, ever.
I was going to say.
Yeah, it's... Friends, unfortunately, I think this is going to be very ugly. But just like the rest of the season will.
I'm going to address this camera as well. If you're a Mississippi State fan, I think I would start prepping for basketball season now. And this may be the most highly anticipated basketball season ever as a result.
I'm not sure that's a good thing.
I mean, it probably isn't because, again, God hates Mississippi State athletics. But, who knows? God knows they're not going to win. Does Mississippi State, and this is kind of what I wanted to ask, does Mississippi State beat UMass?
I have a very hard time believing that.
UMass is appallingly bad.
Okay, but what you got to realize is, and of course I don't know the score off the top of my head, but you know that UMass and Mississippi State have a similar opponent, correct?
Yes.
Who is that opponent?
Do believe that was Arizona State.
No, it was Toledo.
Yeah, Toledo.
It was Toledo, the team that absolutely dismantled Mississippi State.
Yes.
Do you know what the score of that game was?
UMass scored.
It was a lot closer.
Yep.
It was 38-23.
Yep.
I don't have a lot of hope.
I don't either.
I hate to say it. It might be a 1-11 season.
God.
Tell me who. Because we just agreed that UMass will probably win. Which SEC school are you beating?
Maybe Arkansas? Maybe?
Really?
Arkansas
Do you want me to go through the schedule?
Arkansas did struggle against UAB.
Florida? No.
Probably not.
Texas? Absolutely not.
Absolutely
Georgia?
not.
Absolutely not.
Think about this. How many points are going to be allowed by Mississippi State between Tennessee, Texas, and Georgia.
A lot.
Tennessee may score 100 by themselves.
Yes, they might.
Because that game is in Neyland.
It is.
Texas may score 200. It's in Austin. Arch Manning's backup is going to get to play.
Yeah. Anyway, you're not winning those games.
No, not a
Texas
shot.
A&M, it ain't happening.
Not going to happen. They look half decent.
Arkansas, maybe, but I still think no.
Maybe.
Missouri, not a chance.
Not a snowball's chance.
And this is 1 year, and I'm the one that is usually preaching in rivalry games, anything
It's
can
anybody's
happen.
game.
It's in Oxford
not
this year.
anybody's game.
It's not anyone's
It's not
game
anybody's
this year.
game. Ole Miss looks like a playoff team.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Ole Miss, yes.
Yes.
I hate to say it, but yes.
Yes. Yes. Not good things. Not good things. Have we
Is
ever...
Mississippi State going to do a thing?
They may do a thing, a bad thing. They're going to do a lot of bad things. I just don't know where do you even go from here? Like, how
You
do you
just said
go?
basketball season.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about if you're Jeff Levy, where do you go from here?
In an odd, it's odd because it does happen this way, but when you look at schools that have these really bad seasons, the first year of a head coach, it's how it goes. And I'm not saying every coach is going to be incredibly successful, but I mean, you look at successful guys, they start out like with 1 or 2 wins, and then you get that 4-win season, and then you're at 7, and the next thing you know,
oh my God,
they're double-digit win, something in the playoffs. So, and I'm not saying that's going to happen by any means, but we have a tendency, Mississippi State fans, Tanner, you and I included, to overestimate just a hair.
No.
And that's what happened once again.
It is.
But I will say, and I will give you credit because you usually nail it right on the head. The past 3 years we have done football together, you had the record correct every year. You're way off this year.
I think I'm off this. And I said 4-8.
We both said 4-8. And I'm usually generous.
Yeah. I've hit the record on the head the last 3 seasons, and man.
If there is any tiny, small crumb of a chance, how do they pull it out?
You beat Arkansas and you beat
No,
Florida.
I'm talking about Florida.
Oh. Blake Shapen throws for 450 yards.
Do you think he has the time to do that?
Not at all.
Okay.
That's why I don't think it's going to happen. But that's what's going to have to happen because God knows this offensive line isn't going to be able to run the ball.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough rest of the season, unfortunately.
Save us, Chris Jans.
Back-to-back, no bowl game years.
Yeah, that's the
When's
first
the last
time in a
time that
while.
happened?
First time in a while. Save us, Chris Jans. Save us, Josh Hubbard.
Josh Hubbard.
I can't wait till
Dude
the
can
winter.
play.
He can. Someone told me the other day, they were like, man, imagine if Josh Hubbard was 6'1". And I said, if Josh Hubbard was
That's
6'1".
terrifying thought.
Well, I said if Josh Hubbard was 6'1", he'd be playing for Kentucky instead of Mississippi State. So be thankful he's 5'10". That's about all the time we've got here on this Maroon and White edition. Sorry it wasn't happy-go-lucky, but there's just not much to smile about at the moment.
Kind of matched the weather
Kind
of
of
the
matched
past
the
couple
weather.
of days.
Yeah, kind of matched it. Kind of matched it.
Bad.
We'll be back next week with some more high school action, and the week after we'll dive into exactly how Mississippi State football disappointed us yet again. All that and more on the next installment of the Maroon and White edition of the Magnolia Fields podcast. Thank you. So long.